Welcome to the iNetrepreneur radio show. We are so honored to bring you your host, the ultimate celebritypreneur, connecting businesses and celebrities worldwide. Winner of the Networking Organization of the Year, best-selling author, magazine publisher, trainer, and owner and founder of Network Together and the iNetrepreneur Media Network from magazines, TV, and radio network. We're excited to bring you your host, Mr. Robert W. Jones.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. At least it's afternoon here in Arizona. It could be morning where you're at. It could be nighttime where you're at. I'm glad that you're here with us on today's show, and I'm really excited. We have a very special guest who is on today, and I'll introduce her in just a little bit. Those of you who've seen the promos on it, you know who it is, but those of you who haven't, you'll be in for a surprise. A little bit of the community business. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that yes, our sixth book in the Art of Connection book series, 365 Days of Resilience Quotes, is on Amazon. It is a #1 international bestseller in Kindle and paperback. And, they kind of add it all up together anyway. But we're really excited. We got hit markers in the United States and several other countries. It's at Amazon, and you can go to mybook.to/Art of Connection, the number 6. Again, mybook.to/The Art of Connection 6 to secure your copy. We'd love for you to get a book and be a part of the Art of Connection family with us. Also want to say that this show is being provided partly by iNET Publishing House. You can go to inetpublishinghouse.com to find out more information about what we're doing for the world. Our mission is to guide authors, entrepreneurs, visionaries in creating works that inspire hearts, foster connections, and leave a lasting legacy. So inetpublishinghouse.com. Come check us out and see what we're doing for the world. Also, I'm excited to talk about our new concept, iNET Alliance, which empowers entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders through community, media, and events. iNET Alliance, you can find us at inetalliance.com. And for those who are looking for things to do each and every week, you can go to ntevents.net. That's ntevents.net. You can find our radio show, our online chapter, our in-person chapter, and so many other things that we have going on each and every month. And oh my goodness, subscribe to our newsletter so you can be first in getting to know what we're doing each and every week. And so, let's get to it. I want to bring on our guest today, and our guest is none other than Shawn Renee Jones. Shawn, how are you today?
Hi, Robert. Thanks for having me on your show today.
Well, thank you. Everyone, I'm with Shawn Renee Jones. She is CEO of iNET Alliance, and she can be reached at 480-712-2907, or you can email her at Shawn@networktogether.net. We just cannot let go of networktogether.net. That's where it started up. It all started. So again, I'm with Shawn Renee Jones. You can reach her at 480-712-2907 or email her at Shawn@networktogether.net. And Shawn, I am so glad that you're here today on the show with us. And I'm going to kind of start off with something just to kind of surprise you. And one of the things that we get a lot is, we're husband and wife. Go figure. Let's let that cat out of the bag right now. We've been married for 10 years, and I'm really excited about that. And we've been together for 11 years. And we do something that a lot of couples don't do. And what we do is we both manage and run and own a business together, yet we also manage, own, and run a family together, and we manage, own, and run our lives together as a married couple. And I'm really excited about that. And I just, over the last few years, I just wanted to ask, what have you learned about yourself being with me, your husband?
I have found that when we start deviating from the value of communication, because life comes into play, right? Sometimes you get past and you know what you're thinking in your head, but you're so busy that you just kind of blurt it out. And how that translates is over time, it can almost feel like we're taking advantage of the other person. Almost like, okay, we've been together this long, you automatically should know what I'm trying to say. And the reality is, communication is still the foundation. And with that communication, it's focused on being clear, concise, and being honest with whatever you're trying to convey. And I found for us that that's been our secret sauce. Every time we deviate from those threes, that's when feathers kind of get ruffled, miscommunication happens, things start to fall through the cracks, both in business and in personal.
Yeah, and a lot of communication is communicating often, like you said, communicating concisely, but it's also taking time for ourselves and time together. And that's something that we have to fight a lot about, because we it seems like we have so many clients that we put our time, effort, and our energy into. We also put time, effort, energy into our kids. And sometimes we have to struggle to create space for you and I. And as a busy couple, it's almost like we have, well, actually with you, Shawn, you actually schedule many times our time together. But tell me a little bit about that, and this constant dance that we always go through about trying to find time to be together, and also time to have on our own for our own solitary space.
Sure. So when we talk about scheduling time, there's different areas of time that need to be scheduled. You take the personal, and within that personal side, yes, self-care individually is absolutely crucial. It's like when a plane's going down, who do you put the oxygen mask on first? Yourself. You have to have that time for replenishment and connecting internally with yourself, validating of the direction that you're going in, learning to decompress and listen to your body. As a couple, it's about coming together, having playtime. Life can take us in different directions, and we can begin to fall away to the side of everything having to be so focused on pressure and stressors and management that oftentimes couples find themselves where they're losing the joy. They're losing themselves in the relationship because they stopped playing with each other. And playing can be going out for a meal. It can have quiet time by the fire. It can be a drive with the sunset in the rearview mirror. It's about that reconnection, checking in with your partner, turning off technology, and being fully present. Then there's the time where you switch hats, like in our situation where we are married, and so we have a partnership in our personal lives, and then we have our business side, our business partnership. And with that, you have to be able to switch hats. That's where that playful side sometimes has to be set to the side, because in business, you have to really look at the nuts, the bolts, the facts, the figures. It's about strategizing and making sure that both parties are aligned in the direction, the mission, and the vision of the business. And what does that look like?
Yeah, and it's also about learning each other's communication languages, because our natural communication languages are different from each other. And as we've evolved over time, we're getting better and better about applying each other's languages when we communicate with each other. But what I love about that, it's also helped me learn how to communicate outside of our marriage, outside of business, just even in the community. And I get it. I feel like in many ways I've been built a certain way, and I'm used to talking a certain way. I'm used to doing things a certain way. I'm used to having my own habits. And what I love about you is, you've utilized a certain amount of patience, and you've also used a certain amount of how can I communicate, with Robert better, so we do have a better business, we do have a better marriage. And I really, love that about you, because I say this all the time. There's nothing worse than a bad marriage, and there's nothing better than a great marriage. And, I tell people all the time, why am I with my wife? Because she makes a better life for me, and all those in our family. And I just want to say I appreciate you for that. I want to switch hats a little bit. And, one of the things it really amazes me, is in certain ways we came from kind of like maybe superstar parents. Your mom owned a business. She was very, very successful. And, she had to lean on you, especially in your early years of life. Then you have me. I have a dad who's Mensa is a mathematician. My mom, a Hispanic lady, gets her PhD. And like you, I kind of felt like never comfortable in my own skin. Like I was never enough. My voice didn't matter, what I didn't do, whether I wasn't seen or heard, valued. And a lot of that, yeah, was self-imposed. But you also had some of that as well. And what's really interesting about that is and I want to make sure I get this right. You wrote an article, I learned to run a business at 13. That is why imposter syndrome never left me. And I really am like kind of resonating with that, because in a way I feel like I had an imposter syndrome. Heck, sometimes I felt like I could even be an imposter because I felt like I was outside of my own family. So tell us about this article, and why was it so important for you to write?
That's an excellent question, Robert. And the article, when I was writing it, was really focused on highlighting for me how far I have come. You know, my parents were freshly divorced. My mom was a homemaker for years. She'd gotten into real estate just as the divorce was ending, and then the market wound up crashing. And my dad always telling her, "You're nothing without me," right? And so I remember grabbing my mom's hand, and she started a cleaning company. Well, she needed help, and back then we didn't have virtual assistants, and hiring somebody was not within the budget. So I was raised that the family unit pulls together. And so at 13, I would go to school and she'd pick me up, and I was running the company with her side by side. I often was the one at 13. I was doing all the hiring and interviewing. I was processing payroll. I was doing job bids. And don't kid yourself, there were times where, yeah, I found myself on my hands and knees scrubbing floors if it called for it, a mop and bucket in hand. And I was never able to tell anybody how young I was. I had to speak more professional. I had to appear more professional, especially working with commercial accounts. I was fortunate on our residential side that I was the voice behind the phone, but our staff would come in, our vendors would come in. And I always had to figure it out. There was no schooling. I was still in high school at the time, actually junior high, if you think about it. I was 13. And there was a lot to overcome, and always being reliant. I mean, being the first kid in school to have permission by the principal to carry a cell phone. So if something came up during the day with a client, I was pulled out of class to go troubleshoot whatever it was on the phone. That is a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But everything that I learned is how I am today. I learned so much, but there are times that even now I look back and go, gosh, I started out as a cleaning person.
Yeah. And a lot of that you had to deal with human psychology, because many of the women, and I don't know if you had any man working for you, but many of the women, they all had varied personalities, I'm sure. What I'd like to ask is, as you're going through there, and you brought up the word pressure, and it really is an interesting name. And that word, and one of the things that you and I've talked about is how your pressure started so young, and how at this stage in life you're really looking at utilizing and looking at pressure in a different way. What does pressure look like to you now, and what the way that you want to manifest it versus what pressure looked like to you then as a 13, 16, 19-year-old young woman?
Because of the pressure that I had growing up, I struggled with perfectionism. Everything had to be perfect. Everything I put out there, the way I spoke, the way I dressed, the way I behaved, everything had to be perfect. Because if I wasn't perfect, I failed someone around me, including my mom. And I love her to pieces to this day. And I'm very thankful and grateful for the opportunities that she's provided. And it also translated that all through my life, I didn't expect anybody to do something that I wouldn't do myself, but because I wrestled with perfectionism, my expectations were higher. That translated to some relationships would not last. It included me having frustrations in my career path, not understanding that I worked on a different speed, a different scale. And for the longest time, it was like, I'm doing everything right. I'm following, I'm exceeding. Somebody says something, I go 2 steps above.
Right.
Because I wanted to be perfect. It wasn't about them. It was truly about me. And I don't know if it's my age and pushing 50, but over the years, being in my 40s, I've realized I don't have to be perfect. There is no such thing as perfectionism. If I spend all my time trying to be perfect, I will never hit the bar for myself. I will never hit the bar for anybody else. And it's okay. And accepting I'm not perfect. And that's taken a lot of pressure off, things that I would hold in just to keep being that perfect person to the world. Sometimes it comes out a little raw nowadays.
Yeah, well, and that is a wonderful share, and I really want to build upon that, because I believe in everyone's life there's defining moments, and there's probably some certain time in your life when all of a sudden it hit you and you're like, oh my goodness, I can't keep this up forever. I need a break. I need a change. I need to look at life differently. Was there a specific time or a specific situation in your life where it's like, kind of like, wow, I could have had a V8 moment, in this? Was there any of that time, that helped you shape the way you are now? And now that you see this new direction, there is no turning back. Do you remember that time?
I do. I remember looking around and just wanting to step out of my life. I was absolutely miserable. Nothing I was doing made me happy. No, and it's not up to any one person to make me happy. I have to make the happiness for myself and show up that way for others. And it wasn't until I accepted my calling, which I wound up going to back to school to SWIHA, Southwest Institute of Healing Arts, and I completed my practitioner program. And one aspect of my program was a Reiki class. And I remember standing there and we were making masks that represented who we are and what we wanted to change. My biggest aha moment was being able to stand in the center of the circle in a room full of other students, all adults, and I just broke down and cried. And it was then that I realized I'd been holding so much in, I couldn't contain it anymore. And fast forward, people see me now who have known me for years are like, Shawn, you look so much lighter. You can see you don't have the anger that was inside of me. It wasn't that I was an angry person. It was the anger of always pushing everything into my little box. And I'm like, I can help everyone else around me and guide them through and get them to see what's inside and what they've been trying to pinpoint. But I couldn't do it for myself because here was the thing. I didn't give myself permission.
I even remember, and it's so interesting to me. I remember one day I was giving you a massage on your shoulders, and I couldn't believe it. It was like the first time I could actually move your muscle. I could feel that they were pliable again. You held yourself so tight, that pressure, you were wound in such a way. And it was like, it truly is what is in here, and here affects everywhere. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my goodness, who is this lady? I can actually, I can actually give her a massage and create movement. Do you remember that day?
Oh, I do. I remember you touching the shoulders and you're pushing down. You're like, who are you? Where's my wife?
I know. I could not believe it. I was just like, I don't know, who is this person? Where did she come from? And all,
Yeah.
which gets me to somewhere else that I really, really love. And for those of you out there, yes, Shawn and I, we have a loft and we have these 2 chairs. We call them our old fart chairs. Back in the day, you'd call them Barca loungers or something like that. And in the Art of Connection book series, we'd always have a quote book. And then one year I was like, I really want to have a journal book that, accompanies the quote book. And we were able to accomplish that. And it was really amazing. And then here's my lovely wife. She's sitting in the chair next to me and she's doing coloring book. And I call it a pop-up moment, and I don't know what I'm going to get from my wife. And she does a pop-up moment. Her head pops up. She looks at me and she goes, bah! And she just like puts something on me. And she's like, what about a coloring book? Huh? What? What about a coloring book? We should do a coloring book. And I had no idea what the context was. I know that my lovely wife had the context. She had it fully done already. She already manifested in her head. But that was the first time I had heard about it. So I had no idea what she was talking about. But she got through with that. And she's like, I really believe that the community, and inside and outside of the Art of Connection community, would do well with a coloring book. I enjoy this coloring book, you said, and I believe that other people would as well, because there's so much you can get from that. Tell me about that moment and tell our audience about that moment of why did that pop into your head? And then all of a sudden you got me sold on it. All I did was I started calling people and said, you got to be a part of this coloring book. It's amazing.
Yes. So the coloring book concept came to me because I love coloring, like little shapes and images. And coloring helps not just kids, but adults be able to reconnect with themselves. It allows the mind to decompress and process. It allows all the electrical signals in our brain to kind of start redirecting and rebuilding. So it even helps with memory and retention. And I'm thinking to myself, what a great way to have an activity to where we can color, we can align with the quote. And while we're reading the quote and we're coloring, we're actually focusing on what does that quote mean for us. It allows us who are doing the coloring, the work, to think about our own selves, our own lives, what's going on, what does this look like? When we start looking inward and we start hitting on notes and going, ooh, that resonates with me. Why? We start asking these questions. With these questions that come up, it creates the curiosity. Curiosity leads to, I want to know more. Tell me more. Who do I go to? How do I find it? And the coloring book can be used for kids. It can be used for adults. They can have many different usages. What I also loved and appreciated about this particular coloring book is each contributing author also has their information in the book. So if maybe somebody wrote a quote on the resiliency of finances, maybe they had a tough time. They're like, I'm just floating underwater. That page may have been written by somebody that's in the financial industry, and you got an open resource right there. It's a resource book for a multitude of businesses for people to have right at their fingertips while they're coloring.
Well, the things that I love is you brought up the word decompress, but it's such a way, because it helps tap into a person's creativity. It helps them become present, be mindful about things. It really takes a certain amount of effort, your hand, your eyes, your mind, all working in conjunction. And if you're doing it well and you're doing it right, it actually kind of carries you away. It provides just maybe a subtle reset, which I think that's all needed.
Right.
And I believe that, people have told you how empowering the coloring book isn't just for themselves, but we've even had families use the coloring book as a way to bond together, haven't we?
We have, and we even have one of our contributors who prints her page off, brings them to her own expos and her own showings, keeps the kids occupied. The parents are loving it. And because it's such a unique, one of a kind concept that is catching on, that it has created new business for her where she's getting new bookings from other event planners and organizations because of the way that she has found a way to take what she does with her business and incorporates a different type of activity for kids and their parents.
Yeah, I think that is the coolest thing of all, just bringing family together, becoming more creative in self, becoming more self-aware even, and providing that reset, which really brings me to something I am just really excited about. And I'm so ready personally to create space in this particular project. And it's something that you've come up with, and it's something that might never have existed if it wasn't for Southwest Healing Heart Institute, if it wasn't for the background of being perfect and perfectionism and imposter. And that is something that I believe can resonate with all people. And that is your Living Architecture book series. And it's a trilogy. And Shawn, I want you to talk about that because I am so excited about bringing that to life.
Yes. So the trilogy series is called The Living Architecture, 6 Pillars to Human Wholeness. Now, as humans, we're already whole. There is no question. We are whole inside and out. What we are sometimes is we feel a little depleted in different areas. Those areas can be in our mind, our body, emotionally, spiritually. And it's an opportunity through the series, each series, which there's 3 books, each book has 2 pillars. Each book is broken into 2 segments, so like mind and body. And within that book, there are professionals in their industries who will be teaching the readers about that particular pillar. It's designed to, it's not woo-hooey. Let me tell you that. It's not woo-hooey. It is based on facts and scientific support. How does the mind affect us? How is it affecting our nervous system? There's activities that each one of the contributors will be providing, tangible activities, not ones that you can go find on Google. No, these are proven, scientific, tested activities that the person reading the book is able to practice to connect with that particular pillar. Like, for instance, I just spoke to one of my clients yesterday. She's 76 years young. And at 76, she is seeking my services through Infinite Core Coaching because she feels destabilized emotionally. She's had some losses. She's at that point, what do I do in my life? And she feels like emotionally she's up and down. So how do we teach somebody how to reconnect with those emotions? Therapy is great, but therapy is not what everybody needs. Sometimes it's just understanding more about ourselves and meeting us exactly where we're at. It has nothing to do with the past. It's really the present that we're not seeing. And then within that, the reader is able to not only to do these activities, but then to answer some questions and really dive more into themselves. Why is it that they're resonating with us? And then they have the opportunity to reach out to that practitioner, that expert in that field, to gather more information.
I think that is incredible. In the reader that's taken part in the book series, and what are some of the things that you believe that they're really going to get out of this as they travel through and they start to finding, hey, there are some areas that I need to fortify in my life, or maybe there's areas that they actually are are really well at. They're manifesting greatly in other areas. I think sometimes it kind of provides a scorecard as to where they are, doesn't it?
It does create a scorecard to a degree. It's
Mm-hmm.
more about, okay, I'm understanding how the emotions, where they're coming up, how they're impacting my daily life, personal, business, whatever it may be. It could be the relationship with their kids. They start to have a greater understanding. Then it creates the impact of, tell me more. I can see how this is working. I'm going to try it and try it and try these again. And before they know it, they're using these as resources to help get them through their day or help get them to that next stage in their life or wherever they want to go.
So
The
you're
book
kind
is a blueprint.
of helping them define a framework then through this
Yeah.
book. Then.
It's a blueprint for their
Mhm.
lives.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You know what? One thing I want to ask, as you're coming into, your own new reality on how you're manifesting what you've learned in your life. What's one of the biggest lessons that you've learned so far as a business owner, as a mom, just just a member of society in general, I guess. What's the biggest thing that you've actually learned so far that you would love to share with our listeners today?
Oh, that one's a loaded question. And I say that because I'm going to take business, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy for us to not separate our personal thoughts and feelings from our business. And sometimes we have to just look at the business as more like a fact and figure. That's not to say that you look at human beings as facts and figures. It's about when you receive information. A great example, I received an email recently and I had already addressed it, but timing. I mean, literally, I sent an outgoing email. The person sent an email coming in, and they were 1 minute apart. Mine was first, theirs was second. And the context of that email that I received, had I have stepped into the emotion side, I would have responded a lot differently versus it's okay. I don't know. I don't have to have an emotion. I don't have to have a feeling about this. It just needs to be facilitated through and moved it right along in the direction that it needed to go in. And I was able to go about through my day. When I tie into the emotion side to it, it drags me down a rabbit hole. And that is something that many people experience. They want to attach emotions in their business. And that can also be a hindrance because then we want to analyze it every which way and Sunday instead of just taking it, processing it in a very factual, simple, clean way and moving it along where it needs to go. Now, how does that translate into personal? Yes, emotions and feelings come up, but in a way, if we focus so much on the emotions side, which can lie to us because emotions stem from our brains, right? Our brains don't tell us the truth, honestly. They go based on experiences. Somebody can say something. And I'll use an example. And I wrote about this in one of the Art of Connection books, but I won't give the title because I know we're on the air. But the example is life is like a peach. Now just think about that for a minute. If I tie my emotion, I automatically, if I don't like peaches, I'm going to go bleh, because that's my emotional. If I tie the emotion to, I love peaches, then that quote sounds beautiful to me. But if I just hear life's like a peach, tell me more. What does that mean? Help me understand from the perspective of the person telling me life is like a peach.
Interesting. So let's go one more step. So some things that I don't know about you, and I've been with you for 11 years. Who is a mentor in your life? A mentor in your life that you could think about day in, day out, that really helped you mentally, emotionally, physically, it doesn't matter, get you to where you're at now?
I've had several mentors along the way. I will say the biggest mentor that I have had was my mom. She taught me strength. She taught me perseverance. She taught me bootstrapping. My granny was also a mentor. She was the rebel in the family. She didn't care what people thought. And I love that about her. And it took me a little while to get past it. I don't care what people think. I'm showing up as who I am. Some people call that your true authentic self. To me, this is just what you get.
Yeah.
I've also had close mentors that sometimes they just tell me what I need to hear at that right exact moment. And they're individuals that I may not see or talk to on a regular basis. Sometimes it can go a year before we see each other. But when we do come together, it's exactly what I need. And then I have a longtime friend, as you know, my friend Vance, who is my son's godfather, that I do say he gives me a good swift kick in the pants. He's probably the only one besides you who can really put me in my place when I'm just like off the charts going, okay, I got all this stuff rattling around and I'm acting with emotions and I'm not seeing things clearly. And he is my kick me on the rear and gets me moving forward.
I love that. And with that said, as you keep progressing and growing, what's one thing in life that, when people think about Shawn Renee Jones, and we all have the dash in between our dates, the day we're born, and the day that we leave this earth. When people think about your dash in your life, what legacy do you want read for every person who's come in touch with you?
I'll be honest, that's not something that I even give it a thought about, because I just move through life being the best that I can for everybody else. I have a proven history of accountability. So I am the person that if there's a problem and you need a level head, I'm the go-to. You need something quick, let's do it. Let's move it on. And I can do it without judgment. I am the person that I could be standing in a store and somebody just comes up and shares their story. It's not for me to fix. I don't know them, and I just listen.
Well, I'll say it for you because I've been with you for 11 years, and what I really appreciate about you and I see as your legacy, what I've really learned is you do the things that are so hard. You do the things that other people are truly unable or unwilling to do. And you do them anyway, because at the end of the day, it is the right thing. And I appreciate about you. And you have an inner strength. You have, you still have yet you still have your inner child. And that's what I appreciate about you, because you will fight to the end for those that you love. And another thing that you do as well, Shawn, is you don't give up. If someone can make mistakes and someone can, but as long as they're accountable, as long as they apologize and they take actions to move forward and not do it again, there's no one like you. And that's what I've learned. I've seen you confront big Super Bowl sized men, and yet you will back them down because you have the one thing that you always fight for, and that is who you are and the truth that you state. And I love that about you. So let me end the show this way. What I would love to do is just tell us, how can we get a hold of you? What is your best love language in being connected with? And, lastly, what are some things coming up in the iNET Alliance community that you would love to share with everyone today?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for those that are not familiar with iNET Alliance, that is our umbrella company. And under that umbrella, we have Network Together, which has been around since 2011. Started here in Arizona. We're now in multiple states across the United States and internationally. It's a global network for professionals. We have our iNET media and events, which is what Robert is sharing about. And through our iNET media and events, we host different types of events. We have our men's 525 group. We have a big event coming here in Phoenix, which is called Lexicon. And it's AI, technology, speaking, and publishing. And so we have people coming in for that. My favorite, and I, they're all my favorites, but my really big, strong, passionate event that's coming up on April 24th here in Scottsdale, Arizona, is the Women's Multicultural Leadership and Impact Summit. Why is this summit so important? It's because cultures need to come together. Having multiple cultures across diverse industries opens up conversations that are not being had. When I look at women's events most often, there are usually certain demographics here, certain demographics here, and it depends on the event that you're going to. The fact is, different cultures have gone through different experiences. They have different opportunities sometimes. And it's not that they don't have the same opportunities, is that sometimes we don't know what opportunities are out there. This event is really focused on having these conversations. It's a professional women's event. We have speakers, we have panelists. It's an all-day event. It's not a rah-rah type event. It's a let's get together, let's have these conversations, let's do some business, let's understand how we can truly, as women across all cultures, come together and really support each other. As women, I hear it all the time. Oh, we're going to lift each other up. We're going to support each other. But the fact is, we are kind of clutchy, right? We get into our little clutches. And so we create, without knowing it, our little silos. This event is meant to blow up the silos, bring us together. We have women coming in from all across the United States to be at this event because the power that it's bringing, the message that's there, and there's not another event like it in the US. So I am super excited. It's April 24th here in Scottsdale, Arizona. If you are interested in attending, you can look at the event up on Eventbrite. It's the Women's Multicultural Leadership and Impact Summit. If you're looking to be a speaker or a panelist, send me an email. It's Shawn, SHAWN, @networktogether.net.
And also, everyone, you can go to ntevents.net. That's ntevents.net. That is our short link to be able to get to our events. And you just go to that calendar, go to April 24th. You will see the women's event there. Oh my goodness, Shawn, thank you so much, everyone. I'm with Shawn Renee Jones. She is CEO of iNET Alliance. She can be reached at 480-712-2907 or via email at shawn@networktogether.net. Again, that's shawn@networktogether.net. Shawn, thank you so much for being here today. And you know what? I love you. I can say that. I don't get to say that all the time, but thank you again for being here today. I appreciate you, and I look forward to getting you back on this show again sometime soon.
Thank you, Robert, and I love you.
Oh, see, you just made my heart melt when you said that. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place, 2:30 Mountain Time, iNET Media and Events, the iNET Entrepreneur Radio Show. Thank you.
You've been watching the iNET Entrepreneur Show, a production of the iNET Entrepreneur Radio Network with host Robert W. Jones. Join Robert each week as he visits with new and exciting guests who inspire, teach, and mentor entrepreneurs worldwide. Follow Robert each Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and 8:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.